Yeah, we're all set, so we'll go ahead and start.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good day, everyone. The National Association of Women MBAs is pleased to present this webinar entitled Closing the Confidence Gap. My name is Hannah. I'll be your moderator for this session. Please note that today's call is being recorded, and all participant lines will be muted during this broadcast. If you need assistance at any time today, please email us at webinars@namba.org. This session will last 60 minutes and include a question and answer period at the end. However, feel free to pose a question at any time during today's presentation. You may enter a question by simply typing it into the question box on your control panel and then clicking the send button. At this point, I would like to introduce today's speaker. Dr. Hope Zoeller is founder and president of HOPE, Helping Other People Excel, a firm that specializes in facilitating leader success at every level of an organization. For over 13 years of her professional career, Dr. Zoeller worked at UPS in various roles, including customer service, training and development, and employee relations. For the past 11 years, she has been consulting with organizations on leadership development. Dr. Zoeller is also a professor at Webster University, instructing in the Master of Human Resource program, and Spalding University, instructing in the Master of Business Communication program. She is a doctorate in leadership education from Spalding University, a Master of Education in Training and Development from the University of Louisville, and a Bachelor of Arts in Communications and Psychology from Bellarmine University. And now I would like to hand it over to Dr. Hope Zoeller to start the presentation.
Thank you, Hannah. Good evening, afternoon to everyone, and thank you for joining us on this Thursday. I am excited to talk this evening about confidence and an topic that I think is certainly, especially for women, something that we can all work and strive to be better at having. So I want you to just take a second before I dive right into, giving you some information on what confidence means. I want you to think about what confidence means to you. And it means different things to different people, but I really want for you to think about for yourself personally, what does it mean to be a confident person? And based on that definition, whatever that definition is for you, I really want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, being 1, you could not write a book on confidence at this point, to 10, you could write a book and Oprah would sell it and everybody would make copies and you would be a millionaire. So just think about on that range of that scale, how confident are you right now? Your professional life, your personal life. And as we move through this evening's webinar, I really want you to kind of go back to that and think about what are some things maybe that we talk about this evening that you could do to be a more confident professional woman. So I'm going to give you a definition of confidence so you can see how this is in alignment or not with the one that you are thinking in your head. And this definition is based off of the book, The Confidence Code. And if you have not already checked that book out, I encourage you to do so. And it's written by Katie Kay and Claire Shipman. And their definition that they have come up with is the stuff that turns thoughts into action. And I absolutely love that definition of confidence. And it's really the first time that I've heard it framed that way. But it means you have to move, you have to act to be able to become a confident person. I found some interesting statistics as I was putting this presentation together that I would like to share with you. And it's from Economist magazine, but they recently called female economic empowerment the most profound social change of our times. Women in the United States now get more college and graduate degrees than men. We run some of the greatest companies, and there are 17 female heads of state around the world. And in addition to that, we control 80% of U.S. consumer spending. And by 2018, it says that wives will end up outlearning their husbands. So listen to all of those statistics and think about that. You would think that we would be the most confident people in the world, but yet we still struggle with it. And I see this every day in companies that I work in and one-on-one coaching that I do, is that women especially struggle with being confident. So really, why is that? why do we struggle with it so much? Why do we struggle with taking something and turning it into action? I would say part of the problem is that women really struggle to make sense of the rules. We believe that if we work harder and don't cause any bother, then our natural talents will shine through. And what happens when we do that is we end up watching men get promoted over us because they are the ones that will step up and they will say that they want something and they will get noticed. And I gave an example for those of you who may have been on the call when I did the 7 Secrets of Successful Women. And I share this story again because it's so relevant with confidence of when a big boss enters the office, the man will jump out of the office and go talk to the boss, ask to have coffee, ask to meet with them. And women will typically stay in their office and keep working really hard because they think that's what's going to get them noticed. When in fact, it's not. We have to get out there and we have to start acting. And when it comes to confidence, confidence will trump confidence because confidence gets you a seat at the table. Confidence keeps you there. So the more you act, the more confident you are going to become at acting again. So some of the things that can really help us become more confident people are these 4 things you'll see on the slide that's up now, and they're the cousins of confidence. First, the first one of them is self-esteem. And I know we hear people say all the time, this person needs to have more self-esteem, or I need to have more self-esteem. But what does that really mean? Self-esteem means that you feel like you have qualities versus I am confident that I can get this promotion. People with confidence not only say, I feel I have a number of good qualities, they also say, I'm confident I can get this promotion. When you're optimistic, it's an attitude that you have based on your view of the outside world. You think instead of everything will work out, which is how we sometimes see optimistic people, if they're very optimistic about everything will work out. When you combine confidence and optimism, you have the attitude of, I can make things work out. So I am in control of my destiny. I am in control of what I want things to happen if I get out there and act. The next is self-compassion. And I would say for women, again, especially generalizing this, of course, we treat ourselves very poorly. We don't take time to give ourselves compassion. We seem to beat up on ourselves when it's very hard for us to take a risk again. But when we have some self-compassion, we realize that we're human and we're going to make mistakes, and we learn from those mistakes and we turn them into opportunities. The last one is self-efficacy. This is a belief in your ability to succeed at something. This means that regardless of whatever is around me, I know that I can succeed, and I'm not going to let anything stop me from doing that. And again, men, they can be really good teachers for us of this because sometimes we let things limit us, and most of all, it's the dialogue that we have in our head. With that being said, I love this picture of confidence in mirrors. One international study shows that 90% of all women want to change at least one aspect of their physical appearance. And I have to say that that percentage is probably higher, or at least it's more than one aspect, it's multiple. But women tend to have a higher percentage of self-inflicted confidence wounds. And when I read that, I had to pause for a moment, and I thought that is so true. Self-inflicted confidence wounds. Nobody inflicts more of that onto us than we do onto ourselves. And then we tend to bring that into the workplace. We are much more thin-skinned about our relationships and what people think about us. And women, unlike men, we would rather be liked than respected, which makes it harder for us to shoulder some of those tougher workplace negotiations. I remember one of the best mentors that I ever had at UPS once shared with me, is to get everyone to like you. He said, I guarantee you are going to fail every time. And that was a really hard lesson for me to learn, especially as I became a leader and started leading people, because, in the beginning, my goal was to get everyone to like me. And I realized that that was not going to be something that was going to happen. It was going to be better to be respected and put my thoughts out there and act regardless what people were going to, think about that. Another thing with this is that women tend to be really good at taking blame for things when they go bad, and crediting fate or other people or anything but themselves when we have a success. Men do the exact opposite. They own their success and they do not make any excuses for it. So as women, we need to be better about stepping up, and when we do something, owning it, and when we don't, we'll take accountability for it, because that's just part of who we are. I came across this as I was putting this presentation together, and I thought these 12 things, I know myself, I can say that I have confidently done all 12 of them. But I really want you to take a look at this list and maybe for yourself, write down 1 to 3 of them that you probably do the most, or that you think most being successful. And I'm going to mention just a couple of them because I think that there are a few that stand out that I want to give you some additional food for thought on. The first one is using minimizing language. Recently, I've come across 2 articles, and some of you may have seen these articles on LinkedIn, but it talked about women using minimizing words. And it was all around the word just. And they said that women who use the word just do not sound nearly as confident. So when they say, I just wanted to stop you for a minute, that simple word sends this message that our statements and opinions are not important. And there's also some other little belittling words that we're prone to using, like, I'm feeling a little bit concerned about something. I doubt that you're really feeling just a little bit concerned, or you probably wouldn't have brought it up. So you need to say, I feel concerned. But think about the words that you do use on a daily basis, and how many of those words minimize your message, minimize what you're saying, and do not make you sound like the confident person that you are. The second is asking permission. Another great thing the leader taught me at UPS, the one that I just referred to, was he said it's easier to ask for permission. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. And he frequently told us that whenever making a decision, he said, just do it and ask for permission for it later. And I think as women, we hesitate because if it means we might fail, we would rather be secure. And sometimes you just have to get out there and you just have to do it. The one under that too, waiting until we're experts before taking on a new role. And Lean In, they covered this point that men, when applying for jobs or opportunities or anything that they want to go for, they only have to be about 60% confident in their ability to be able to do it. Not even that they know for sure they can do it, just confident that they could figure it out. Whereas women, we have to be 100% confident, which we know what that means. We are never going to be 100% confident, just like we are never going to get everyone to like us. So how many times in our life has that held us back because we were afraid to take on something new because we didn't think we had the ability to be able to do it? And sometimes we don't know we have the ability until we risk it. Also going along with that is questioning ourselves. Constantly, if we are making the right decision, am I doing the right thing? And sometimes we just have to let go and put it out there and see what happens. And the times that I am able to do that, because I'm on this confidence journey with you, the times that we are able to do that, we are met with great success. And sometimes the success is we failed and we learned something amazing that takes us into some other amazing opportunity, but we would not have found that out unless we had tried. And then number 8, only setting goals we know how to reach. It's in alignment, or not setting clear goals at all. Again, always having to know for sure we're going to succeed. If we always have to know for sure we're going to succeed, then we are always going to fail. So if that's your goal, then you will succeed at doing that. But sometimes we have to go out there, and even though we don't know how to do them, there are enough people that can support us that we can somehow figure that out. So I really want you to, again, look at your maybe 1 to 3 of these things. How could you be better, or how could you increase these things or minimize these things in your life to become a more confident person? So I love this slide. So what are men actually thinking? And my husband jokes that this is a selfie of him, which it isn't, ladies, but men are actually thinking, I'm awesome. And it's funny because my husband frequently says this and I laugh, but there is something about thinking that you are and that you have the ability to be able to do things. 72% of the talk in our heads is negative. And when we allow that into it, we are never going to be able to try something as much as we would if we had 72% positive telling us to go out there and try. Men have probably at least 50% positive dialogue going on in their head. They really do think, I can do this. Most of the men interviewed for the research that I have done for this presentation said that they simply spend less time thinking about the possible consequences of failure. They actually tilt more towards overconfidence. And it's called something, honest overconfidence is what it's called. And research has shown that men on average rate their performance to be 30% better than it actually is. So you might laugh at that, but really that's what helps them take chances. That's what helps them get opportunities, because they're willing to go for it and they don't dwell on the, what if I go for this and I don't get it? They think, what if I go for this and I get it? So next time a negative thought enters your head, or you're about to try a new opportunity, or you're about to ask for a new opportunity or do anything, think about the dialogue and try to flip it and try to err on the side of having more honest overconfidence. And I promise you, you will start seeing some results. We don't get there overnight, but we definitely, we can train ourselves to do that. I get a lot of questions about this, and I've come across this quote, and it's, to be successful, a woman doesn't have to be more like a man, but has to be more of a woman. And I get this, so what you're saying is, and I've mentioned this several times already tonight, you need to be, we need to try to be a little bit more like a man. We try to have a little bit more confidence. I'm not saying that we need to forget all of the good qualities that make us special and that make us different. We just have to do more of those things. We just have to show up more of ourselves. And I really believe that what happens is we hold ourselves back because we have so much ability and we only give 20 to 25% because we're not confident of the other 75%. And women who try to act in ways typically associated with males are perceived far more negatively, because if you go straight to the side of being a male, then you are labeled a stereotype of being a woman that is too assertive, too aggressive, takes charge too much. So what we really need to do is to combine the male and female qualities to be able to do better, to be able to have not only our own, but to exercise, practice, and strengthen some of the qualities that make men great, which would be the aggression, the assertiveness, and the confidence. For us, we need to ramp up and keep doing collaboration, persuasion, humility, all those things that make us amazing. But again, combined with aggression, assertiveness, and confidence, we can become unstoppable. And there is not a goal that someone puts in front of us that we couldn't achieve if we really wanted to. So here comes to the example that I just referred to. Your boss clearly thinks you are valuable. You could easily ask for a promotion. In your head, you are saying you shouldn't ask or you might be fired, and you're not sure you're ready. That is often the dialogue that we have in our head, which is wrong. We need to change it. We need to flip the paradigm that we often tell ourselves. Men comment frequently they were born ready, while women think maybe they're ready. And as I said earlier, men only have to be 60% sure about something before they're actually willing to go for it, where women have to be 100% sure. And the conditions are never going to be right. We cannot delay action. We have to act now, because if we're waiting for everything to line up and be perfect, as we've already talked about tonight, that is never going to happen. So if you do not take a step forward, you are always going to be in the same place. So what are some habits that you can do to improve your confidence? And I'd like to go through these with you and give you some tips on this, because perhaps this can help maybe the top three things you picked that you feel like are holding you back. The first one is leaving your comfort zone. When in doubt, act. It builds confidence and it keeps you growing and improving. I challenge you every day to think about something that you can do to step outside of your comfort zone. If you are someone who tends to be more introverted, try to introduce yourself to one new person a day or to have a conversation. If you're more extroverted and you don't like doing things alone necessarily, you don't like going to networking things alone, parties alone, things alone, I challenge you to once a day look to do something by yourself. It doesn't matter whatever your thing is, but what is that thing that you fear the most? What is that thing that holds you back from being the most successful individual that you can be? And what is one thing that you could do to move away from that fear and get out of your comfort zone and become more successful? And I know that's easier said than done, but it really is, you have to act. It is that stuff that turns thoughts into action. It goes back to the definition of confidence. It's what are we going to do to try to make something happen? And that means acting. That doesn't mean saying, well, I wish I were better at this. I wish I were better at this. You have to actually have to act and do something to be better at that. The next one is don't ruminate, rewire. And a woman's brain really is not our friend when it comes to confidence. As I said, 72% of our self-talk is negative. So we have to become much more aware of what the inner dialogue is and try to call it out, even give it a name and say, stop it. You're not going to say that to myself anymore, and just be aware of it. And I'm not telling you that it will go away forever, because as I said, I'm teaching you these things tonight, and I am working on every one of them myself every day. It's a battle for me to just put these things down so that I can go out and be successful. But the more that I've done it, I'm seeing results, and it's very, very exciting. I wouldn't be on this call with you tonight doing what I do for a living if I didn't do some of this ruminate rewiring. I'd probably be thinking, I can't start my own business. I can't do this. I can't get up in front of people. What if they don't like it? I've had to quiet all of those voices to be able to do that. But a little bit of that is good because it keeps you humble. But if that voice is keeping you from achieving whatever it is that you want to do in your life, whatever that is, then you have to figure out how to flip that and change that and start talking to yourself differently so that you can become a confident individual that can claim success. The next one, kill gnats. And gnats are negative automatic thoughts. Name it and reclaim it. That's why I say give it a name, and when that person in your head starts talking that way, just kill it. Say, nope, I'm done with this. And just think about this. Whatever you're saying to yourself, would you be saying that to your best friend? And if you were saying that to your best friend, would your best friend still be your best friend? And I guarantee you probably not. So don't do that to yourself, because you should be your own best friend. The next is move from me to we. When we shift the focus to other people, it helps us become more confident because the spotlight is not on us. And I can attest to this. Sometimes when I'm caught up in my own head about things, if I reach out and I help people or I connect with someone, it is amazing how that starts helping you build your own confidence, because you're not worried about yourself so much. You're helping somebody else get there. Number 5, realize it's not about you. And I've often wanted to get a t-shirt that made up that says, it's not all about me, because we live in a society of it typically is all about us and our own things in our own head. But it really is not about us. And it's easier to do the moving from me to we when we realize other people aren't thinking about us all the time. And, I find myself when I will run into somebody and they're not overly friendly, or I would see somebody in the office and they wouldn't talk to me, I would always own that. I would always own that and think, what have I done? What did I say? And I would start thinking over in my head, did I say something to somebody that could have gotten back to them? This kills our confidence when we focus on this. When you face your problems and remind yourself that it's about work, it's not about you, and take that spotlight off yourself, so to speak, it does help us be more confident. But when we walk around worried constantly about what other people are going to think of us, it is going to hold us back to some extent. Number 6, star in your own production. This is a reality show all about you. We have the spotlight thing all backwards as women. We want to shine a bright light on our faults and insecurities. We don't want people to necessarily know what we're good at, because then we will be held to that, and we're afraid, well, what if people know that I'm good at this and I'm not always good at this? That's the wrong way to think about this. We need to focus on the things that are really great about us and take compliments when people give them to us. We need to be able to toot our own horns. We need to be able to say, I am good at this. And then when somebody says, yes, you are, say thank you. I have to give an example of just women in general when they receive a compliment. And I'm guilty of this, and I'm probably guilty of this genetically because my mother does this all the time. So I'm well aware of where this comes from in my family. But think about when we compliment each other. When a woman says to another woman, for example, I really like that outfit that you have on. I really like that top that you have on. we typically will minimize the compliment by saying, oh, I got that on sale. I got that on clearance at Target. Or this is so old. I can't believe you would like this, blah, blah, blah. We always try to minimize when people are complimenting us. So the next time someone compliments you, the only thing you have to say is thank you. Because when we minimize a compliment, it really does make us look less confident. Speak up without upspeak. And I've been hearing a lot more about this upspeak thing. And I would say that this is, again, another thing that minimizes our confidence. And upspeak is, for those of you who may not be familiar or have heard the term before, it's raising the tone of your voice at the end of a sentence in a way that suggests what you are really doing is asking a question, not making a declaration. This communicates, don't really challenge me because I'm not saying anything. I'm just asking. And so when you're always hedging, it really does take away from the validity of your argument. And now that I'm more aware of this term, I have tried to be more intentional in meetings with watching and seeing how people say things and how I say it myself. And sometimes instead of putting a statement out there and saying, we should do this, we say it in an upspeak way, is that we should do this, hoping that we can get validation. And if it looks like everybody's in agreement, then we go with it. And if it looks like people are not, then we will change our opinion based on how we perceive other people to be thinking, even though we may not think that. And what this is saying is, don't do that. If you really believe something, even if it goes against what other people believe, if you have a valid reason for believing something or wanting something, make the statement. Don't wait to be validated by other people. Validate yourself. And lastly, repeat, repeat, repeat. You won't get it if you don't work for it. So, 1 through 7, you have to keep continually doing. You have to want to run the marathon. People that want to run a marathon, but they never run, you're never going to be able to finish the race if you don't start. And people who succeed aren't always naturals at this. I mean, I don't know anybody, if I, sitting here looking at this list, these habits, I don't know any of us that were born this way, that were born to just leave our comfort zone or not have negative automatic thoughts, especially depending on how you were raised, people that you're around, the environment, the culture that you work in. These are all things that we come upon, and we're not taught how to not have these things. They just kind of naturally, culturally happen. So we have to really rewire our brain, rewire the way that we think about that. And that's really what it means to be more confident, is just rewiring the way that we perceive and think about things. So take a look at that list out of the 1 through 8, with 8 being repeating and doing all of them, but really 1 through 7. Take a look at those, and which is the one that you probably need to do, not do, be aware of, that if we were going through that list, you thought, oh, I do that, or I have done that. And I probably do this one more than another one, because all of this starts with awareness. It starts with awareness of how we're acting, how we're responding, and how we need to modify or change that in order to be more successful and confident. So 6 quick tips to jumpstart this. So the list that we just went over, a little bit, maybe a little bit more long-term in changing those things, because we don't change habits overnight. And I frequently find that in coaching, when we're coaching something and the boss will say to me, I'm coaching their employee, and they'll say, so have you worked on them with this? And I'm like, well, actually, we talked about that today. And they will say, so tomorrow I can expect to see a change, right? No, it takes a long time to change a habit. It takes 21 days for something to become a habit. But I really think when we're undoing some bad habits, probably tack on another 21 days. So as I said, that's why I always say just pick 1 or 2 to start becoming more aware of when you're doing it. And when you are redoing it, try to redirect that. So some 6 quick tips that maybe you can jumpstart a little bit faster and even start tomorrow or tonight if you so choose to. The first one is to meditate. And I have really, this is my one. So for those of you, I'm telling you to circle, or which one do you probably need to work on the most that could help you. This would be my big one, is meditate. And a couple of years ago, I took a class on meditation, because there's been all kinds of research done on the benefits of meditating. And we had to do a 30-minute seated meditation. And I got about 5 minutes into it, and I could not sit still. And I started moving, and then I had an itch. And the instructor actually came over to me and asked me if everything was okay, because I think he was concerned about me. And I still laugh about that story, because I am still working on just sitting and not doing. And for those of you who know me, anybody that knows me on the call know that I'm a huge yoga person, but we only stop in Shavasana for about a minute or two. It's not 30 minutes. And even in that period of time, my mind is really going stir crazy, and I'm much more aware of it than I used to be. And I'm able to calm it much faster, but it still happens. But I'm still working on this meditation thing. But there are lots of great tools, tapes, all kinds of things that you can listen to that can help you with that. But the research that's been done on it says that a calm brain is really the ultimate confidence tool. And that's why I say this is a big one for me, because I'm working on it. But it is the ultimate way to become more confident, is when we can quiet our mind and we can get our mind around the thoughts that we're having, the things that we want to do, and how we want to do it. There has been, again, tons of research that says that it can help us be the most confident individual when we can take time to do that. Even just stepping away from something sometimes when we're meditating, when we're doing that, in the moment, we might have a thought about how to do something, or there was a problem, and for whatever reason, however it happens, when the mind is quiet, what we need comes to us. But most of the time, our mind is so filled with things that we can't really focus on some of the things that we want to achieve. Meditation also rewires your brain to increase your ability to control your emotions and be calm and clear about your goals. And as I said, so many good benefits, and I'm getting much better at doing this. I haven't gotten up to my 30 minutes yet, but I would say that I am getting, as I said, 5 to 10 minutes a day, whatever works for you, that you can just sit and really, there's no goal for it other than just calming your mind. You shouldn't walk away and go, in this 5 to 10 minute meditation, I want to blah, blah, blah. Don't define it. Don't put a goal on it necessarily, other than to just sit and calm your mind. And I have found, since I have been much more mindful and intentional about this, when something gets very stressful for me, I don't get nearly as stressed as I used to. I'm able to breathe through it and get focused on what do I need to do about whatever situation is in front of me. The next thing is being grateful. New research shows that gratitude is one of the keys to happiness, as well as an optimistic mind. I, every day, will get up and be grateful for one thing, and I don't care what it is. It might be the ability that I got up this morning and I have a day in front of me of work that I love, that I'm passionate about, that I have a house a neighborhood I love being in. I have a wonderful husband, family, nieces and nephews that I adore, clients I love. It doesn't matter what it is, but when we focus on being more grateful for what we have versus all the things that we don't, it in fact helps us become more confident and get those things that we want. But when we always focus on, I wish I were more of this, or I wish I were more of that, or I wish I were more like this person, which is another thing that I see that we do as women, is we compare ourselves all the time. And it goes back to that beginning I told you, if our goal is always to get somebody like us, we're always going to fail. If our goal is to always try to be like other people, we're always going to fail, because we're not those people. We are ourselves, and we need to embrace the beauty in that, because we all are amazing people. And how awesome is it when you think about there's no one else like us on the planet. We are our own unique beings. So if we show up in the world like that, think about all the things that can be afforded to us versus all the things that we don't have that we feel like we need to give to the world. So practice gratitude. Journaling is a great thing for this, either in the morning, or for some people it works at the end of the day. Just sit and write down 3 things that you were grateful for today, that you got to work, you made it there, you got through a project, a bad presentation, you had to go out after work and do something you didn't really want to, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, but just really focus on more of being grateful. And as I said, when we do that, it's amazing how we get more in our life, not less. The next one is thinking small. When I first started my business, I remember all of the overwhelming amount of things that I had to do to be able to do that. Get a website started, get an LLC set up, had to figure out who my clients were going to be, what training materials were, what was I going to offer. I would sit sometimes at my desk in my office and I would cry, because I felt so overwhelmed by all the things that I needed to do. And I thought, how in the world am I ever going to be able to do this? There's just too much. And at times I thought about, I'm just going to go back. I'm going to work in a corporate job again because it's easier. And then my husband, then at the time fiance, he was just like, you can do this. And he really helped me take every task that I needed to do and break it down. And there's been another article that I just read recently. It's talking about to-do lists. And it said the worst things in the world to have are to-do lists because they overwhelm us. Instead of having a to-do list, actually schedule time on your calendar every day for the things that you want to accomplish. So that's exactly what he helped me do. On Monday, I was going to spend an hour on website content. Then I was going to spend another hour on identifying clients that might need my services. And by just simply putting down time to be able to do it and focus on it into manageable chunks, it made me feel more confident that I could do it. But when I looked at the whole big picture of all the things that I had to do, it almost paralyzed me from wanting to even take a first step in doing that. So I really ask you to think about whatever goal it is that you want to accomplish, or maybe the reason why you haven't started it is because it just seems so overwhelming of where do you begin. So where you begin are with small steps. So, when you wake up tomorrow, what is one thing you could do to work towards your goal? And I promise you, if you keep that in mind and you keep planning and you keep allowing space and time in your life for it, it will happen. Number 4, sleep, move, and share. And that's really in any order. For those of you who are not good sleepers, you know how horrible that is. And for those of you who are amazing sleepers and who at night you don't get good sleep, you can't focus, you can't think, you have to make sure you get the appropriate number of hours for sleep for you, because that can really shake anybody's confidence because we're tired, we're not focused. We don't have that ability to be able to concentrate and do what we need to do to be successful. The other thing is exercise. Just like I told you to schedule your to-dos for things that you want to accomplish, I schedule exercise. Every day I schedule exercise on my calendar. It's either a yoga class or it's taking a walk. Those two things for me are not negotiable in a week. There may be 2 days I don't get to do it because of family commitments, personal commitments, work commitments, but I try to commit to at least 5 days a week. I will find 30 to 60 minutes in a day to exercise or do something. And I'm not here to say you should do yoga or walking. Whatever you do to move, do it. Find something you like. If you're not a gym person, don't join the gym. I laugh at people all the time that talk about, well, I've got a gym membership, but I hate going to the gym. I'm like, why would you join the gym? Figure out something that you enjoy that can get you moving. And that's another thing, like with the meditation, when you get into the rhythm of doing that, you almost crave it and have to do it because it makes you feel good. And in turn, it makes you feel more confident and be able to do what you need to do to accomplish your goals. And then the other is share. Share with people, talk to people. We're not in this journey journey of life alone. There are people that have gone through similar things that we've gone through. There are people that know how to do things that we don't know how to do. Do not be afraid to ask for help. I see women all the time just think that they've got to somehow figure it out themselves, or it makes them look weak. And when in fact it doesn't at all, it makes you look stronger, because I wouldn't be where I am today had I not shared some of my struggles, shared some of my battles, and asked people for help. And likewise, now I'm sharing things with you that I've learned that hopefully help you. And what I would ask you to do is pay it forward and help other people to be successful too. Because as I said, it takes a village to raise all of us, not just kids. It takes a village to raise all of us. The next thing is practicing power positions. If you are not familiar with Amy Cuddy, I highly recommend watching her TED Talk on your body language shapes who you are, because she does an amazing job of talking about power stances and how we show up every day. And, I know for the longest time, posture that was very poor. And I really think it minimized my confidence because I wasn't speaking clearly. I wasn't standing up straight. I wasn't making eye contact. And just think about how you're sitting right now. And I know a lot of you are probably at home, but how are you sitting? Are you slouching? Are you sitting up straight? And when we speak sitting up straight and we take the power pose, as she calls them, we sound more confident. We look more confident. But most of the time, we minimize our confidence by slouching and being afraid to speak up and say what we really mean. So as I said, if you have not checked out that TED Talk, I highly recommend it. It's a great one. Number 6, make it, don't fake it. Masquerading as something we're not makes us anxious, and it feeds into the lean in imposter syndrome that we always are afraid somebody's going to find out we don't know how to do anything. And in Amy Cuddy's TED Talk, she talks about don't fake it till you make it. Fake it until you become it. Doing it enough, you will do this. And I've found a great Ralph Waldo Emerson quote that really supports that. Don't fake it till you make it. Fake it until you become it. And it's that which we persist in doing becomes easier for us to do. Not that the nature of the thing itself has changed, but that our power to do is increased. And I really believe that that's what she's saying, is that we just have to keep doing it enough until we actually internalize it and become it and become successful doing it. And it goes back to the definition that we started with to tie it all together. It's the stuff that turns thoughts into action. So we just have to act. We just have to keep trying. Nobody is great at anything the first time they try. And I remember it's been a couple of months ago, we had a new person come to the yoga studio, never done yoga, and was getting very, very frustrated that she couldn't do the poses. And, you know, she would look over and she was doing the thing that we tend to do, comparing ourselves, like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. And I just looked at her and I said, you shouldn't be able to do this. And if you were able to do this as well as everybody, I would be mad. And I just started laughing. And she goes, what? And I said, most of the people in that class that evening had been practicing regularly for at least 10 years. And my point wasn't to make her feel bad about it. My point was to make her feel good about it. The first time you show up with something, expect to be amazing at it. But the point is that you tried and that you showed up, and the next time you show up, you'll be a little bit better than you were the time before. So here is a place that you can test your confidence. And this is from the Confidence Code. And I've got the link up there if you so choose to take this. And, you know, I will tell you, when I took it, I got that I had medium confidence. And I was very, very frustrated. I was like, what? I've really been working on this, as I told you. And so, you know, I'm doing what I told you not to do, because I told you, again, I'm still working on this. But as I started reading the things that I do to minimize my own confidence, sometimes I'm like, oh, right, actually do these things. But this is a great quiz to take that will give you, not only will tell you where your confidence is, but it will also give you some ideas to help you become more confident. So I encourage you to check that out and, you know, take a look at some of the things that you need to focus on to be more confident. And then also I have put, and it is available on your control panel, there's a handout. And as you know, as a call to action this evening, I'm going to really ask you, I said 3 things. But even if you just pick one, just one change that you think you need to make or that you're willing to make to become more confident, there's a handout and it's a place for you to list that. And then I want to challenge you to think about what are some steps that you can take to turn that change into action. So what are some thoughts that you need to have to really turn that into action and be able to start doing something about that? So confidence doesn't just happen. And I hope that that's really what you have taken away from this evening, is confidence isn't something that just shows up. It goes to my yoga story. You don't just show up the first time and become amazing at it. You don't just show up and become amazingly confident at something. You really have to work at it. Confidence is work. You have to take action. Women need to stop thinking so much and just act. We need to realize that perfection is not achievable. So stop waiting for it to arrive. Stop making perfection the goal, because we will always fail. So if that's the goal, you will succeed. But stop making perfection the goal. We just have to act. New evidence emerges daily of just how much change over the course of our life in response to shifting patterns and behaviors. So if we are to keep at it, if we channel our talent for hard work, we can make our brains more prone. We can become more confident enough to leave our cocoon, beautiful butterfly that you see on the slide, that confident butterfly that we were meant to be. And I truly believe that that is attainable for all of us, but we have to act, and no one can do that for us. And I think for us as women, we need to be better about encouraging each other to take chances, to take risks. It doesn't start with organizations need to do that for us more. It doesn't start with men need to do that for us more. It starts with us believing in ourselves and doing it more for ourselves, and we as women encouraging other women to say, you absolutely should try that. Well, what if we fail? Well, what if you do fail? So what? It will be one step towards helping us be a more confident, successful person. And then the next time we go and try something, we're more likely to be even more confident because we're not as afraid of failing. But if you never fail, then you're always going to fear it until you know what that feels like, what you've learned from it. And as I said, sometimes the lessons in life come from the things that didn't work out as we had planned it. But then there's something even amazing more on the other side waiting for us if we choose to look for it. So I want to thank you for investing this time in yourself tonight to become more confident and sharing this hour with me. It has been a true pleasure. And if we have any questions regarding the presentation or just anything in general on confidence, I would be happy to take those now.
Great, thank you, Hope. Just a reminder to everyone on the call, for any questions, please simply type them into the question box on your control panel and then click the send button. We'll give everyone just a few minutes to submit their questions.
And I did want to mention too, Hannah, that on the back of the handout that's available on the control panel, there's a list of books, some self-directed learning that I have found helpful in my own journey to become more confident, more successful. So I hope that you would find those helpful too. So just to mention, it's on the second page of the handout that's on the control panel.
Great, thank you. Here's our first question. Is there a way to start a conversation with someone who you think is acting in an unconfident manner?
That's a very good question. I guess it depends, and I don't know how close, if it's someone that you're especially close to or not close to, but instead of approaching to make them feel self-conscious about them not being confident, what I would recommend doing is just really trying as much as you can to encourage that person. So perhaps when you see that person having an unconfident moment or talking to themselves or to you in such a way where, let's just say for an example, they wanted to go for a promotion or they wanted to do something, but they're having all kinds of verbal self-doubt and they're talking about it and they're telling you this, what I would recommend doing is just kind of what we left off with, is just being better about encouraging each other. And just saying, I totally think you can do that. So, what scares you the most? Why do you think you can't do that? And really having a productive conversation about what are some things that this person could do to move it forward. Because it might be, as I said, when I got overwhelmed with things, I became less confident because I didn't know where to get started. So perhaps this person, they just don't know where to get started with getting to do some of the things that they want to do. So when you hear that, and I'm assuming it's something that must be reoccurring for you to say, to even approach the person about it, but really just focus on encouraging them to take a chance, encouraging them to think about what would it take and being as supportive as you can. And maybe if you've got some, resources you could recommend to them or whatever, but just being that supportive person that believes in them before they believe in themselves.
Great, thank you. Do you see that the confidence gap shrinks at all the more successful a woman is?
I definitely think it shrinks, but I don't think it ever goes away. And I think that's a good thing because, as I said, it always keeps us aware. It keeps us humble. I never want to be that person that gets up every morning and thinks, I have it all figured out. I have it all figured out and I'm going to know exactly what to do. I know I don't have it all figured out, but I know that whatever happens, I'm equipped to be able to face it and deal with it. So, having that little bit of gap of, confidence doesn't mean we go around, it's like, I don't need to work on this. I got it. It's like, no, I know I don't have everything, but I don't fear not having everything because I know that I have the ability to be able to handle it, whatever that is, through resources that can support me, or I'm strong enough that whatever this is, I can get through it. So I would say, there's a balance, but we definitely have to err more on the side of being confident, but always having a little bit of that, I have to keep working at this. You know, it's like saying I meditated January the 1st and I don't have to meditate again until January 1st of 2017. I've got to keep working at it. So to be confident, we have to keep working at these things.
Thank you. You mentioned Amy Cuddy. Are there any other books or speakers that you would recommend?
There is one with the books that some of my top books would be on the self-directed learning that's on the handout on the back page. Those are probably some of my best reads as far as the topic that we've talked about tonight. There is a good TED Talk that I just watched recently, Celeste Headley, and she talks about the 10 positive tips for communicating. And I love them. They were awesome. And I think that they're tips that if you follow them could definitely make you sound like a more confident communicator. So that is another TED Talk. There's tons of TED Talks out there, but those are just two that really, really spoke to me for the simple, practical advice of it all. And I love things like I hope I've shared with you tonight, that I can hear something and I can tomorrow remember it and try to start putting it into action. So I would recommend checking out Celeste Headley's TED Talk too.
Great, thank you. All right, it looks like that might be all the questions that we have for today. If anyone has any last-minute questions, feel free to type them in. Otherwise, Dr. Hope, do you have any final remarks?
No, I do not. It has truly been my pleasure to be on this call with everyone that intentionally chose to spend their hour with us, and I hope that it's given you just maybe one or two things that can help you become more confident. And for those of you who may be interested, I do a monthly e-newsletter on leadership. If you're interested in signing up for that, the April edition comes out tomorrow, so you can just shoot me an email, let me know. I'll get you signed up for it. And also, you'll notice on your self-directed learning list, I've put out a book in December called Hope for Leaders. And it's just a longer version of some of our most popular newsletters. So I encourage you, if you're interested, to check that out too. But with all that aside, once you have heard me, met me, talked to me, seen me, I am in your network. And from the 7 Secrets of Successful Women, we know that one of the critical skills for women is to build an effective network and have the confidence to go ask for people to be in our network and reach out when we need things as resources. So if there's anything that I can ever do for you, if you just shoot me an email at hope@hopeforleaders.com, I truly believe in paying it forward for all those people that have done that for me in my career to date. So again, thank you, and it has been truly a pleasure.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. With that, we conclude this presentation. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today, and special thanks to Dr. Hope Zoeller for a great presentation. This concludes today's program. Thank you. You may now disconnect.